Hi folks, how are you doing? Let's see a game from the second round, an interesting one where the world champion Magnus Carlsen was white against the local player Carlsen-Mamedyarov, who was playing black pieces. They already played with the same colors last year in the first edition of this tournament. Magnus won that game in quite a comfortable and instructive way. By the way, you can review the games of that first edition of the Gashimov Memorial here in the link on the board. I hope you can see that. So let's jump to the game of the second round of this year's tournament. We have Carlsen as white again, and he plays 1d4. We have a Slav defense on the board. By the way, Mamedyarov, as far as I know, used to be considered as a Grunfeld specialist, but maybe, I guess that was a long time ago when he was a young talented player. Now maybe he's not willing to calculate so much, so he plays lots of Slav, as far as I know. Knight f3, knight f6, and e3, the slow variation of the Slav, is clearly a favorite of Magnus Carlsen and suits his style perfectly. Black goes g6 to fianchetto his dark squared bishop. Knight c3, bishop g7, bishop to e2. Both players castle. So far very logical and normal moves, and it is black to decide how to develop his light square bishop here. So Mamedyarov decides to play b6 to put the bishop either on b7 or, who knows, if a6. And immediately Carlsen decides in which side of the board he's going to play. That is the queen side. He plays a4. a5 is clearly an idea here, trying to create already weaknesses and have initiative there. Mamedyarov doesn't allow that. He plays a5 himself. Let us just take a look at what could be white's idea, or something similar to what could be white's plan if black is to play like normal move, which could be bishop b7, something like that. Then a5, for instance. And if black is to capture, then queen could go to a4 with bishop d2. We see both of the bishops of white pointing to the queen side. The a file is absolutely under white's control, and white seriously has interesting compensation, not compensation, but initiative here. Interesting prospect here on the queen side with active pieces, coordinated pieces there. Instead, that was not allowed. a5 was played. Now Carlsen clarifies the situation in the center. c takes, and plays b3 to allow his dark squared bishop to go to a3. You can see that's clearly a very natural way of developing this piece now. And we have here an almost symmetrical pawn structure, a very symmetrical position, but some details, as you can see here with the arrows, hopefully you can see that, are in white's favor, like the bishops. This bishop is going to go to a3, where it's going to be quite active. The one on e2 is really active on the queen side, towards the queen side, while black's bishops are kind of biting the stone here. If this goes to b7, the one on g7 as well, and white is ahead on development, and thus the occupation, the control of the open c file will be much easier for white. So these are a couple of small positional details which make the position very comfortable for white to play. So Mamedyarov here plays a move which was later in the press conference criticized by both players, as it gives white really some easy plans. Black plays knight to e4, and Carlsen just takes, pawn takes, and goes with the knight to d2. Not only hitting the pawn, which is under attack and not defended right now, but this knight will be able to go to c4, enjoying quite a comfortable centralized square, and once again going towards the king side, the queen side, the other side of the board, where white is going to have quite an initiative here. Black plays bishop b7, protects the pawn, bishop a3, f5, quite a committing move, which secures e4 for sure, but leaves some light square weaknesses here in the center around black king, which are quite dubious. I don't know, I would be really reluctant to weaken my position like this. Maybe I'm just a little too coward with these things, but that's how it goes. Rook c1, completely taking the control of the open file as quickly as possible. King h8, getting away from possible checks, and knight c4. Here, if we compare piece by piece, we can see white has really much more comfortable and coordinated, harmonious position. I mean, this bishop, for instance, is much better than the one on g7. This knight is definitely much better than his black colleague, and we can say absolutely the same about these rooks. So yeah, white is seriously more comfortable, and black has maybe not that bad position, but not an active one, very passive, and it's not clear what black can do here to improve his pieces, to have activity, initiative or something. Knight d7, and here white must make a plan. I mean, it's good to have active pieces, but you must think of a way to improve the position, to push for something, to attack a weakness. So Carlsen decides here to push his pawn on the d file, d5, rook c8 and d6. This is already something. I mean, taking the pawn is really dangerous. This did not happen, but the queen could take here, having a very nice centralized position. All pieces are I mean connected, harmoniously developed, and if black plays like rook c6 chasing this queen away, well, we can go to g3. Now the bishop is attacking the rook. The other rook of white is going to come to d1 very quickly, and black is kind of tied out, not harmoniously placed here at all. The pieces are kind of stepping on their colleague's steps, so yeah, not easy to play this for black. Black has to be very careful at every step here. All white pieces are really active. Instead, after d6, black just pushes e6, and now we have a passed pawn for Magnus Carlsen, which certainly could turn out to be a weakness, but on the other hand, it could also be very dangerous for black, cramping his position, taking lots of squares. And after e6, well, Carlsen takes the opportunity to maximize the activity of his pieces and forces the issues on the queen side. b4, a takes, pawn takes, bishop goes to d5, well, defends the pawn. On e6, centralizes a piece, tries to exchange pieces maybe. Carlsen keeps pushing, takes, and now he goes with the bishop to a5, attacking the queen. As I said, maximizing the power of his bishops, of his active pieces, not letting the time escape. I mean, you can't waste time here, otherwise black will reorganize. He just pushes the pawns and really threats, puts black into some concrete problems. Right now the queen is under attack, which goes to e8, and here bishop c7 was, by the way, definitely worth to consider it here, I think. Really cramping black's position, but Carlsen plays another good move, queen to a4, activating the queen. Bishop c6, the queen reorganizes, b4, and after rook b8, just knight to b6. You can see quite clearly is on the driving seat. Harmonious pieces, initiative, a nice pawn here on d6. I mean, the rook on f8 is hardly doing anything. The queen on e8 is not doing that much, while white has lots of space with his pieces, and the pawn on d6 is always important here. Black plays knight to e5, queen to c5 was played by Carlsen, tying this knight to the defense of the c8 bishop. It may seem that nothing bad is really going on for black. I mean, yes, you have a passed pawn, but seems there is nothing that much going on for white here, at least for not very expert eyes like mine, for instance. But as we're gonna see, black's position is really dangerous. I mean, in danger of being blown away, and certainly this is going to happen just in a couple of moves. Well, the bishop goes back to a8, but now bishop goes back on his own to c3, occupying the very great diagonal, dark square diagonal from a1 to h8. And after just a careless move like knight d7, only 26 moves have been played. This game is going to have quite an abrupt and quick end. Bishop takes g7 check, king takes, knights are exchanged on d7, and after queen e5 check, Mamedyarov with black pieces just resigned the game after 29 moves. It's amazing to me how quickly this was just blown away, black's position. Well, what's happening here? The point is that white is just invading through the c file thanks to his d6 passed pawn, his huge queen centralized on e5, and the weakness of black king. Where is this black king going to go? Well, going to g8 is certainly probably much worse than going to h6. Both are losing. The easy point being that after rook c7 the queen is under attack, and the bad consequence here, you can see the checkmate threat on g7. But on the other hand, if black king goes to h6, it's something similar going on. If black wants to keep the queen, like going to d8, there is still checkmate after a couple of moves. King goes up, h4 to force this capture, and queen h6. Game is over. Quite an interesting game by Magnus Carlsen to take the first victory on the second round of this Gashimov Memorial, and really quite an instructive and interesting game to see how quickly and apparently not that bad position for black could be blown away. Thanks for watching.